Welcome to the Deal by Me podcast, where we ask guests to tell us your story. Hello there, this is Dr. James W. Smith, your host. We seek to transform lives by encouraging and inspiring. Someone encouraged and inspired this host, a former lawyer, gambler, inmate, and his life was transformed. The same can happen to you. So when you listen to any of the Deal by Me podcasts, please support this podcast with a donation or a monthly recurring amount for as little as $3. If you're viewing any of the podcasts on YouTube, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. To supporters of this podcast, we say thank you. Check out my encouraging, inspiring, and transforming books. I'm available for speaking engagements, in person and virtual seminars. So please contact me through my website, www.dealbyme.com. I have with me LINO Martinez, the host of A Little Less Fear podcast. He says that everything he has gone through in his very first 40 years of life are for a purpose. He believes we all are born with a purpose, but not all become aware of it. Dino feels it is his duty as a human being with some life experiences to address, vocalize, and show compassion by relating to the world's suffering. I'm elated, excited to have LINO come and share with this podcast today. LINO, uh, I want you to share a little bit about yourself with listeners of this podcast and where you've been interviewed from.
Yes, hello, welcome. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. I'm really excited here to be talking to James. Finally, we've been connecting for a couple months, and finally, here we are together. I'm in Pasadena, California.
Wow.
Yeah, where are you at?
I am in Durham, North Carolina.
Haven't been there yet, but I'd love to visit North Carolina one day.
It's a nice place. Our weather is really, we get a little of all the seasons, so we're gonna have some good fall, good spring, hot summers, cold winters. So I can't complain. So we really get to feel it all.
Speaking
Ah,
of spring, happy spring.
thank
Spring
you.
started yesterday.
That's exactly correct. Exactly correct. Let's sing. I've looked at your profile.
Mhm.
Uh, Very, very impressive and uh, intriguing, interesting. You seem to have gone through quite a bit. And so I want to ask you to tell us what brought you to where you are now.
Thank you for that question. Well, first off, what I want to say is I have been through quite a bit, but also everybody's been through quite a bit. And everybody has their own personal experience on what quite a bit means. But for me, what quite a bit means is basically surviving to where I'm at today and actually thriving. So I'm finally thriving at 44 years old, and but I can truthfully, honestly say that the first about 39 years of my life, I was struggling to survive a very rare genetic disease I was born with called Muckle-Wells syndrome. That's statistically 1 in a million. And after graduating with my doctorate in clinical psychology back in 2010, from for those 12 years after graduating, I went through close to 50 surgeries. That's correct, 50 surgeries.
Ooh.
And to this day, I haven't met anybody that's out on the other side that has that many that has thrived and survived. And so, because of it, I feel that it's my motivating factor in life to be as authentic as I can, to voice my life, to share, to inspire, to authenticate, and to allow people to experience what they need to experience in their own road, their own path. And through my experience, be able to shed some light into their journey and let them all know that it's all possible to make it. It's all possible to make it.
Mm, I love that. I love that. And I must admit to you that you've done so much until I'm a little envy of you today, but that's a good thing. That's
That's
a
a good
good
thing.
thing.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, that's a good thing. I love when I have guests on that I can say that about. So, uh, you know, I was looking at your profile, and I noticed that you say, aside from being a podcast producer, host and author, that you create custom poetry. You sing, and you are a professor of psychology.
Correct.
Having said that, obviously there's something uh outside or inside
Yeah.
or whatever that motivates you. Could you tell us what that is?
That's
Or,
such an
or
excellent
if
question,
it
James. I love that question.
or if it's more than just one thing. I don't know.
I mean, that's an excellent question because I mean the sometimes I mean I'm not going to deny a lot of people ask me how are you so happy all the time. I've heard this before, and some people have even been appalled. How can you be happy all the time? The thing is, I'm not happy all the time, and I need those downs sometimes to get myself back up and to feel that joy again the next day or 2 or 3 days later. But what inspires me and what motivates me is life. What about life? Love. Love has always been the underlying motivating factor in my life. And it all started with self love. It wasn't just, I just love all of a sudden. It was love has always existed in me as it exists in you, as it exists in plants, in animals, in the sun, in the moon, in the ocean. Love is all around us. And when I started finding love all around me, I realized that that love was also within me, but I needed to love myself more, and the more I loved myself, the more I became into alignment with that everyday joy, with that everyday happiness, with that everyday motivation to keep going, to keep going, and to keep going.
Hmm. I know that you have a podcast,
Yes.
and so is your podcast about your basically experience and sharing, what it was like for you, you know, 40 years ago, or up to this 40-year period? Or are you interviewing other folk also who have had some similar struggles or problems in their lives? What do you do in your podcast? And just tell us a little bit about what it's about.
Sure. So it's a personal growth motivational podcast, and I interview people all walks of life. Right now, I'm at episode 239, and all of them are about personal growth. Almost everybody has gone through some kind of struggle and has overcome it, or they're overcoming it, and ways that they're overcoming it, either through art, through music, or through education, through teaching. I mean, it keeps going and going. So there's all walks of life, whether LGBTQ or whether people that have been in jail, out of jail, um, wrongfully accused. I mean, I interviewed this incredible man that was paralyzed from the waist down, that was inspired to go to school and complete his doctorate, paralyzed. I mean, all these stories, but check it out though, James. All of these stories have pushed me to be my highest self, my highest version.
Mm,
So, like, the more I interview someone that has gone through something, it motivates me as well. And it's also motivating the guest. And all of that is love. And again, that has to do with love. The more that I invite people in, the more that I invite you into my life and you invite me into your life, giving and receiving, that's love and that's uplifting, and that's all part of podcasting. That's why I love podcasting so much.
mm. You know, I know exactly where you're coming from, because I feel that same passion. I not only did I practice law, but uh, I pastored for 32 years, retired at the end of 2022. I'm now serving as an interim pastor at my home church. But
I
when I
love that.
retired, one of the things I wanted to do was to start a podcast, and I wanted it to be about encouraging, inspiring, and hopefully transforming. Because I thought I was going to be finished until my home church called me. I was just going to be podcasting, and luckily I've done. I think this one will be 149 episodes that I've done, and I've
Excellent.
only been doing it now for about a little over a year. I do about two or three a week. So I know where you are, and I feel you. Uh, and I know and that I have listeners of this podcast who have some struggles in life. they're going through something,
Hmm.
and they know that my podcast is about encouraging, and so they will tune in and they will see who it is that I have on that's going to give some encouraging words that they might be able to take from. So if there's somebody listening today or to this podcast, whenever it's published, who have had some similar struggles as you have. And I
Hmm.
mean, and listen to your story is just something else. The illness that you've dealt with, all the other things that you've dealt with, but then to see where you are is very powerful. So, what would you say to somebody who is going through some situations? It may not be exactly what you have gone through, but it's a struggle for them. They're depressed. They're wondering how they can make it. How would you share with them that would be giving them some encouragement, some inspiration, and hopefully some transforming words that would benefit them?
Thank you for that question. Well, first off, I mean, what helped me, everyone's journey is different. And if
Mhm.
I can give in some of my light of what helped me come out on the other side and be thriving, it started with me believing in myself. It started with me changing my semantics, my wording. For example, when I kept saying that I was grateful, because gratitude, an attitude of gratitude will take you far. But I kept being grateful for all the surgeries that I had in my life because they saved my life. However, the more I said thank you to the universe, thank you for surgeries, thank you for this, the more surgeries I had. And when I
Mhm.
became highly spiritual and became meditative, I thought, you know what? Why are doctors telling me that things are coming out normal and I'm okay yet, but I'm still going for surgeries? And
Mm.
upon my meditation, the words that came to me, the thoughts that were clear to me was, you need to let go and accept the lessons of the surgery. You're being grateful for surgery. The more you're grateful for that, the more you're going to receive that. It was so clear to me. I realized thank you for the lessons. I'm glad that I'm on the other side. I'm ready to move forward and I'm ready to believe in my future. What I would invite people to do on their own, and if they can have some silent time, whether it's 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, or someone can do an hour, sit with yourself and ask yourself what you want your future to be like. How do you see yourself? How do you want to think? How do you want to act? And how do you want to feel? And when you start thinking and acting and feeling and believing in your future, you start to create that reality in the present. It's very important if you want to create your future to be in the present moment because the present moment is the only time when you're alive. The present moment is the only time you have to reclaim your life. And when you're able to reclaim that version of yourself, which is the current version, the version that is right in front of you right now, James, you're reclaiming the love, the authenticity within yourself. And in that, you are believing your new structure and you're creating new pathways in your brain, integrating the inner love of interconnectedness, spirituality, and source energy all within you. It takes a lot of patience, a lot of time, and commitment. Some people get it right away. Some people get it within a week or two, or maybe even tomorrow. And some people it takes years. But my message to the world is to don't give up, to keep going and believing in yourself.
Mm. Very powerful, very powerful. So if you were to give one or two words, what would that be? Believe in yourself?
Believe in yourself,
Hmm.
love yourself. And
Okay.
that, I mean, there's so much more layers in between loving yourself.
Okay.
Also, all rejections are redirections. I tell this to my
Mm.
students all the time. Any rejection in your life is always a redirection.
Mm.
And all challenges are just obstacles. Nothing can be not everything can be overcome. And basically your best version of yourself is when you're being authentic with who you are and not people pleasing.
Well said. Well said. Well said. I love that. I love that. You talk a lot also about uh, joy, and I sense that in our talk. I
Thank
sense
you.
that in you.
Thank you.
Matter of fact, I sensed it when I first saw you come on Zoom and we were looking at each other.
Oh,
The radiant uh, smile that you had and looking as if you not worried about a thing.
wow.
So talk about this a little bit. What is joy and why is it important?
I love this. Thank you. So as you said this, I'm looking at some notes that I took this morning. So I meditate every morning, and that's how I start to cultivate my inner joy. And joy exists within all of us. Joy is love. Love is joy. And there's no fear in joy, and there's no fear in love. Everything, the complete opposite of fear is love. It is joy. And in cultivating this joy, for example, something that I wrote in my journal this morning was suppressing joy is counterintuitive to well-being. If you're looking for a healing journey, I invite people to change the word from healing to a wellness journey.
Mm,
Because if you're constantly on a healing journey, you're always going to be in the process of healing.
mm,
When will you be healed? But if
mm,
you're on a wellness journey, you're already on the path of wellness. You're already well at that moment. Even if you don't feel it, stay on the path, and eventually you will find that destination of wellness. When you suppress joy, it's counterintuitive to that well-being. Suppressing joy is suppressing love. Suppressing joy is suppressing who you are, the light that you are, the light that you are, James, and all the people within us. It all exists within us. When you open up that light, everybody else will start shining with you, and they open up their lights, and they're not even aware that they're opening up their light.
mm.
Joy is just one of the most powerful things that you can cultivate in your life, and that's what true success is. It's not a degree, it's not a diploma, it's joy. Because anyone can have 5, 6, 7 degrees, but if there's no joy in your life, where's the true success?
Wow. Listeners, you're getting some powerful information today. Please, please, please take it in. Don't go to the place. Hang around. We got a few more questions we want to ask
Oh yeah,
Lino. So stay with us. I want to first ask Lino, who is the host of the A Little Less Fear, to tell us a little bit about how we can learn more about him, what what his book is about, the name of the book, how it can be purchased. Uh, would you share lot of some of that to us at this time, Leno?
absolutely. You can get a hold of me by going to my website at www.alittlelessfear.com. On my website, you'll find all my social media handles along with the information on my podcast, also titled A Little Less Fear Podcast, The Dr. Lino Show. My book is available on Amazon and Amazon Kindle Unlimited, also titled A Little Less Fear. And if you need to send me a direct email, you can send me a direct email, a little less fear at gmail.com.
Okay, okay, great. Listeners, I hope you took that in. This is someone that you really want to be in touch with. You want to check his book out because I can tell you from our conversation that he is on top of it. Uh, I'm
Thank you.
excited. I'm very excited today to talk
Absolutely.
with Leno. Uh, you just got through talking to listeners, and I when I asked you about joy, and you brought in that about self love.
Yes.
So I want you to talk about this self love there because you know uh, sometimes that gets a wrong connotation. People's think that you are selfish. You're more about yourself than others. So I need you to kind of dwell on that a little bit so that people will leave with the right uh, interpretation of understanding exactly what you mean when you talk about self love and why it's important.
Thank you. The way that I found self-love was through when the disease had progressed to my vocal cords, and just to give you a quick synopsis, the disease does is it causes atypical paralysis of peripheral nerves and motor nerves. So from ages 37 to 39, the disease paralyzed my vocal cords. I didn't talk for 2.5 years. I had to learn sign language. I wear hearing aids, so I was becoming deaf and mute. But that was an opportunity for growth. That was a time for me to sit with myself, quiet down, and listen to the voice coming deep inside my soul. And in that, I lost my identity before that. I said, you know what? I'm disabled. What good was it for me to have gotten my doctorate if I can't speak, if I can't hear? If I have a feeding tube for 8 years, if I lost my ability to pee, I don't have a urinary bladder, what is my purpose in life? And it was in that silence, that suffering pain of agony, that where I finally sat down with myself and I asked myself the question, who am I if I am not Lino? Who am I if I don't have a doctorate degree or a master's or a bachelor's? Who am I if I don't have a car? Who am I if I'm not a son, if I'm not a daughter? Who am I? And when
Mm.
I asked myself those questions, stripping away all of labels, I found myself with just light, with just love. At the very core, Lino, you and everyone is love. Who is your cat? If your cat's not in this cat body, can you still feel his energy? If you're blind, if you're deaf, if you can't speak, yes, I can. That energy is love. If I lose all my senses because my senses were being lost, what I was left for, what I was left with was love. And that is how I identify self-love. And when I was able to define and realize that in this self-love, this light is my divinity, I saw that same divinity in everyone. And then all judgment was gone. We're not the color of our skin. We're not what we've been through. We're not the pain that we've been through or the struggles. We are just love. And that is my definition of love. And I really hope it can radiate to people's hearts.
Mm. Very powerful, very powerful. Lino, you have shared some really powerful moments
Thank you.
with listeners of this podcast today, and I'm just grateful that you chose to be a guest
Well, I mean, I'm grateful
on
that
the
you
Deal
asked
by
me to be a
Man.
guest, James.
Yeah,
Seriously, thank you.
thank you so much. Uh,
I do have a
you
poem to share before we're
Well,
done.
please go ahead on and share it now before we end this session. I know listeners would love to hear it.
Excellent. Well, thank you. First off, thank you for the motivation. I wrote this literally about 5 minutes before we came on. It's just how I channel my energy. So this is called Trust What You Believe. To believe in my future more than my past, I step forward, I take a bow, and in front of you, in front of you, and in front of me, I am present.
Mm.
Only in the present moment am I alive. Only in the present can I create joy. Joy within lives within all of us. I see it in your smile. I see it in your laughter. And I see it in your eyes. To believe in my future is to take a dance with life. And in this journey, I tango, I salsa, I prance, and I skip to the beat of my heart. To believe in my future is to believe in me now. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Thank you so
Oh my
much.
goodness. You're welcome.
Wow. And there you have it. Lino Martinez, who is the host of the podcast, A Little Less Fear. And he says that he wrote his book, A Little Less Fear, and created his podcast, A Little Less Fear podcast, with one thing in mind, and that was helping people. And until next time, peace and blessings
Thank
be
you.
with each of you.